Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 8.52. Okay, one thing I just noticed, and sort of if you don't check these periodically, which I hadn't been, we can move from civilian economy to basic mobilization. That will be really good for us, I do believe. As you can see, more supplies, more money. It does say minus 25%, but we were much greater minus. I forget what it was before, so we are, even the negatives are still better. And we also have more. We can research now. Yay. Let's go with light armor. And we also have a partial additional. Yeah, we'll do that. That may come in very handy at some point. Uh-oh, these guys are... Why are they... No one's supplying... Gibraltar? Uh-oh, we are out of... Oh, I know what happened. When we lost this temporarily, it shoved a bunch of... Man, you gotta watch these things. Bunch of convoys around Africa. Okay. So we're gonna... Okay, well, so let's go with all of these, or many of these mega distance ones to Dover, Colombo. Cancel convoy. Bombay. Cancel convoy. Let's cancel all these convoys. Don't know how often it readjusts things. Turkey, we give them money for fuel. Okay. Now, what I want to do is, we have a mega bunch of that. We're going to put both of these back on auto. So hopefully it will. Help out a lot there. Let's put that down. Now this is because we're canceled a bunch of our convoys, so hopefully, yeah, they're coming back. Okay, and now we're down to 21 though, so, well, let's do that again. It's probably the right amount. Okay, now let's go back to auto again. Okay, and we now have Stormtrooper Tactics. Filtration Tactics. That'll be nice when we get there. Close all these down. I'm also going to kill a couple of these coal mines. I don't know, am I importing coal still at all? No. Okay. So we're still reducing our descent. Okay. We'll go for that. Now. They're taking forever. Ready to attack as soon as there. It'll be faster to strategically redeploy them on province. Looks like at least. Now we're doing decent. Production. So we're already 37, which worries me a little bit. But I'm glad we're improving our national unity. See, now they're faster. Don't know how it affected you, but that just scared me a little bit. That not that it's just how many convoys we have running, and how vulnerable that could be, and especially once if we're going to shut down, which I think would be helpful. Shut down movement through the Mediterranean. That's going to be a lot of convoys needed to keep Britain and its empire alive. Starting to feel the problem Churchill was having. What? Mobile unit training advance. Okay. Coming back and playing this game after playing many hours of Hearts of Iron 4 is a bit of a change. Wish I could say more. I got a lot to say about it, but I can't yet. Okay, we're going there. Good and direct fire unit training. Well, we'll let that go. Mobile unit combined arms. Okay, we'll continue with that as well. Correct. Area command and control. Let that continue as well. And civilization. We will get the mosquito. Bomb. Submarine periscopes, okay, that's nice. Mostly it's torpedo tubes that we need to finish improving. But let's go with the full. Alright, well that allows us reconnaissance aircraft. Well, we're still waiting on that before we can research that some more. There we go. And we'll let those go. Fire control, damage control, couple of ships, let's check out. Let that go. Carrier. Alright. I'd love to help France defeat the German invasion of France, but I'm gonna try. But right now I don't hold out that I'm gonna be able to build a strong enough army to do that. So as I'm sitting here thinking about this, we can hold out here in the desert. Even if we lose Gibraltar, hopefully, or Malta, hopefully we'll be able to keep Gibraltar. But maybe we'll have Republic in Spain as an ally. First I wasn't going to do it, I'm going to make them fight for it, but thinking now there's a fairly decent unit there. We withdraw that to Singapore. Build some defenses here, we might be able to hold that. I'm just thinking, I want your input. Still a lot of time to work with some of this stuff. Okay. infantry and combined arms. We don't want to push that far ahead. Do infiltration tactics. Assault concentration advance. I think we push that one as far as we can at the moment effectively. I think we're going to go with defensiveness. Might be a mistake. Also considering abandoning the 400 men and a bit more once you raise it up isn't much. Try to hold here. Probably pull the Far East Command out to Singapore. Okay, small caliber tank cannons. Which allows improvement of our light armor. And medium velocity guns. Okay, advanced education, that's good. That's up here, I believe, yes. No, I think we're going to stay away from secret stuff. No, that will help us out. Depth charge, that'll help us out as well. Help us battle those subs. We'll see how well Germany does with its navy. Subs, so we have even more, okay. Yeah. Because in my last game, I believe, still have all the old saves, so I might go in and tag. It might be an interesting idea for an episode. Say if you, do you want me to go in and go back to some of the saves and tag switch and see how Britain and France were doing before the, at different points or not? I could do that. For the old episode, not, this one, but, or old series, I mean. Is that Von Thoma? Yeah, I think so. That's the standard whenever they got shipped out there, because I think that's the standard black ice is the Kampfgruppe and the fascist militia. I changed that for Third Reich events to give them heavy AA guns. And since fascist militia are so slow, I also give them some transport. You know, just because Spain is where they first started using the Flak 18 at the time, the 88mm gun, as an anti-tank gun. Very effectively, and saw how effective it was. It was why they set that up and really sort of started. The German army started in combat using it very much in Poland because of their experiments in France, or Spain. I know what I'm talking about, just my tongue isn't saying the right thing. Okay, we're almost done with a couple of the coal mines that we're producing. Now, how are our systems down here? For Cavalry Brigade and Recon, that is moving awfully slow. Okay, medium bomber. Naval bomber, I should say. Let's graze that one out. No, it's a little too much. Again, too much. Just did it a little bit. I don't want to need to improve relations with Brazil, but now of course we're back to positive. Okay. Air Force HQs, yay. Now let's see what this one does. Okay, obviously it helps organization and morale of the various unit types, which that's good. Forming a 1st Air Wing HQ, okay. The Air Wing HQ will be formed in Peterborough, RAF Winton, okay. Cool. So now we have that, and let's see. Bomber, fighter home, RAF fighter command. Yeah, I think we'll do that. And then 36 was just a really poor year for producing stuff. On boats. And naval HQs, which we've just left these going. Clyde in Scotland, Portsmouth, and Davenport. Not really sure where the Davenport is. I say that and I'm realizing it's also a term for furniture. Davenport, okay. What I called that? Plymouth. We have a Naval High Command? I guess not. Well, some artillery and anti-aircraft guns won't be bad for helping defend the Isle against attack. Give them money for fuel. We're doing all right there. We're doing all right. That's the reason we didn't need transport is because we touch here, so interesting. Not used to that as playing as Germany. Okay. Let's see, don't know which. Okay, the Marco Polo Bridge incident. Yes, that was, I would say, mostly manufactured by the Japanese Army. I'm being very specific about that, or should I say the Japanese Army and China, which was sort of a rogue governing agency of Manchukuo in this area, was not very responsive to the national government, quite honestly. I find that hard to believe, but that's quite that. Oh, we've now gone back to low popularity. Eisenhower is launched. Okay, and Amelia Earhart disappears. No, I don't buy that she was spying for the Americans. It could be, but I just don't buy it. I think she was just flying around. So we lose that. Okay, well, for a while, oh well. Send help to the Chinese. Okay. Now I didn't care about the Abyssinia question for two reasons. One, I really believe Italy was going to win no matter what. And two, historically, basically Britain really didn't do anything. China, on the other hand, well, Japan was pissing everybody off with their operations, including of bombing up in Shanghai. Maybe not right now in July 37. I'm not sure exactly when some of the first bombing was. And generally, while they could, there was China could buy arms on the open market. And so there was a, generally speaking, it was the U.S. that was pushing a strong pro-China position that really pissed the Japanese off, and it was one of those sort of Rooseveltian, and yeah, I'll say also Obamian kind of diplomatic stances that they couldn't back up. They imposed demands, imposed a policy of trying to stop the Japanese invasion of China, but the U.S. was entirely unable to back it up. They just didn't have the strength to do it. So there was if I'm not mistaken, a fairly long connection of the Roosevelt family with some China merchants, and so they had an emotional attachment to China as well. Trying to remember as I'm saying this. But the U.S. was just in no position military or even economically at the time, because we were still going through the Great Depression, to effectively oppose or force China. Force Japan from stopping the attack on China. So it just had the effect of giving China, if you will, false hope. And this was because you got to realize the AVG, the American Volunteer Group, that didn't go over to China until the start of World War II in Europe. That wasn't until after that it started. And it was well into 1940. And so it was all through the late 30s here that the war in China is going on. And the U.S. isn't even doing even little things like that. Sending over, some volunteers and sending an aircraft that originally built for Britain, but was outdated for at least home defense of Britain. The aircraft were just getting too slow compared to the improved German ones. That the British allowed them to be sold to China instead of, and also shipped by that time through Burma to China. So it really was a situation of a lot of bluff that Japan was willing to realized that it was a bluff, and just made to look weak. And compare that to the modern situation, we could do the quote-unquote red line in Syria that Obama drew. No use of chemical weapons or we'll do something. And I don't know what the hell Obama was thinking. Was he just thinking, he who is against American intervention all over the world feels that America can just make some declaration and the world's then going to do that, abide by it? Really? And then when he didn't respond, it just makes America look incredibly weak. You either say, we hope they don't use chemical weapons. We would implore them not to use chemical weapons, because that tells them and the world that if they use chemical weapons, well, we're going to be less friendly with the regime, meaning, I don't know, trade deals won't go through, or we might withdraw our ambassador for 3 weeks, or we might do something if they go ahead and do that. And then, that's fine, because if you're going to try to use some soft power, I don't know how much trade we had with Syria in the first place, but if we're going to try to use some soft power and they decide to go do it anyways, well, fine, you do some minor diplomatic thing in the UN or whatever, and you don't look weak because you never, put the nation's credibility on the line over the policy issue. Okay? This is what's happening in China. If you would have, we hoped, I'm trying to draw the similarities and how it leads to a world war. I'm not making this series or this episode simply like to bash Obama because he's Obama. I'm looking at this as an analysis of what happened back then and what is happening now. So you can just either not say anything, say we hope, we wish, use terms like that. Then you know that if a nation then goes ahead and does it, there's going to be some consequences, but it's not overplaying your hand. When and so when you come out and make such a declarative statement, you've got to back it up somehow. Now maybe your backing it up won't be effective, meaning you go and bomb a bunch of airports because presumably they're launching the chemical weapons from airplanes, and you take out a bunch of their helicopters and aircraft. But they may have been able to hide a bunch and whatever, and so you just go in and you bomb, you kill a few pilots and ground crews, and you blow up a few expensive aircraft. And so they paid a price for it, and then you can go, hey, well, that's what we did. You've got, you don't necessarily, oh, well, they use chemical weapons, we have to invade. I'm not suggesting it's gotta go for the whole, destroy the regime if they don't do what you say. But if you just go that path, you've got to respond if they don't. And this is what happened in China, with particularly the U.S. Now, Britain, we're different than the U.S. in that we have a different policy as Britain. We obviously control Hong Kong, and the British policy was, to the best of my understanding, though it was largely dismantled, not entirely, because we also control part of the city of Shanghai. There's the French concession, and I believe it's the international concession that was sort of dominated by the British. So, you have extraterritoriality in China, and so it would be easy to support the nationalist without going to war with Japan or making a dedicated anti-Japanese policy. You're just meddling in affairs that you're already meddling in. And more so, but as the rise of the Nationalist Party, which was in China, the nationalist Kuomintang, was actually very anti-Western. They might say, even though it was sort of a Western movement, they might say it was anti-imperialist, meaning foreign occupation of China. But Britain traditionally and France wanted economic zones of penetration within China for their goods, where the U.S. wanted the open door policy, and that anybody gets to compete in China. One, China couldn't, and even under that policy, China couldn't ban foreign imports, but you could. There weren't. It was sort of a Chinese traditionally had been a very protectivist economic situation. The U.S. definitely wanted to break that down, but they also wanted as they saw it, a fair for the Chinese as well. Idea that there would be competition, so whoever was selling the goods the cheapest, or whoever was buying either goods, because there were goods made in China at the time, as well as raw materials, whoever was going to pay the best price for it, as opposed to, and I don't know, whether it was this region was Britain and this region was France, or however, and I know for a while part of it was up in here was sort of German market territory. It wasn't German colony territory, but it was, they're sort of agreed upon in Europe zones who gets to sell, so that they could fix the prices within their region. The U.S. thought, hey, yes, China needed to be open to the international businesses, but compete and have the most fair situation, in that whoever would sell the cheapest and whoever would buy the most expensive, the Chinese merchants, and no one was forced to buy from the foreigners either, in the sense that I'm trying to explain all this from several different sources. There wouldn't be Chinese governmental laws, whether under the old imperialist system or under the newer nationalist system. There wouldn't be government laws forbidding the importation or use of setting up local businesses from foreign nationals. But there wouldn't be, conversely though, there wouldn't be a requirement that you must buy, I don't know, your gasoline in this zone from this company, British Petroleum or something like this, and you couldn't, so if you wanted it, you had to buy it from them. You could choose, if you wanted to buy fuel, or if you didn't want to buy fuel. If you wanted to buy fuel, if you didn't want to buy fuel, and if you're going to buy fuel, because there was a fair amount of fuel being imported into China, though often used not so much for automobiles, but for burning. Stoves and other things, so that if you wanted to use, if there was a Chinese business that wanted to set up it, they could use that one, so no one was forced to buy it from the American Standard Oil, or forced to buy it from British Petroleum. They could buy it from, I don't know, China National Oil or whatever it might have been called. But so long as the foreigners, the outsiders, were allowed to compete in the market, that was the America's policy for it. Yeah, every nation, if they can put up good enough defenses, sovereign, and they can decide to do their own policies. Obviously, you can look at some whack jobs like North Korea. If countries want to be that way and keep everybody out, they can, but it is still not necessarily might makes right. No, it doesn't, but there is still might in the world. Okay, so we can send supplies, we can send troops, we can do nothing. Okay. And 50 manpower, that's a bit too much. I don't want to send that much. We'll send supplies to the Chinese nationalists. That may be just a drop in the bucket, but it's what we can do, because we are limited in our abilities, and I didn't want to quite go to the level of sending a lot of troops, and Scharnhorst is launched. So far I haven't seen an event like that for the Spanish Republic. I wish there was one. I would be supporting them. There I probably would send troops. Okay, aero engines have advanced. And since we have lost medium popularity, we are, or would be in the red if we started that. But, well, we'll do that anyways. So we don't. So I don't forget. Okay, well, we're going to end the episode here. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. Do appreciate that. But what I really like is, and there hasn't been as much as I'd hoped, quite honestly, some of your comments. I'd love your pointers, because I'm sure a few of you have had to play Britain before. What you think of my, I'm starting to worry about running out of time for doing. I want to complete these, I guess, but I don't know if I'm going to build any more or much more factories. Post that, what you guys think. Really want to hear from you. So, see you next time.